I actually wanted to be an attorney. That's why I did the paralegal, but then law got me, so I couldn't do anything.
That ain't true. You can go back. They will help you through that system.
Really?
That's what's her name said.
That's what somebody else told me.
I have a friend of mine who's in school with me and had a record before going in, and she had it worked on. You let the board of law examiners know, like, hey, I had this. Like, it's, as long as you tell them like you had things and like they're not things that can like keep you from practicing law, and you work on them, like they work.
How
with
about
you.
a federal drug charge? Asking for a friend.
I'm gonna get back to you on that one.
It was just marijuana, but it was just like 167 pounds.
Oh my god, just for you?
Huh, my friend?
Oh, okay, for a friend.
Okay, Cody. So you were born and raised in San Antonio.
Born in San Antonio, raised in the Valley.
Okay. Why'd you move to the Valley?
That's where all my mom and all her family's from. My dad's from here. They lived here for 2 years. My mom did a program at Our Lady of the Lake. It was like their first year of like their speech pathology program, and she got accepted, so she came and started it, and then had me, and my dad was from here, so we lived here for 2 years, but then you can't take the Valley girl out of the Valley for too long, so then they moved back home, and so then my dad had to get used to what it was like being around Valley people.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
And then we just kind of just settled there. It was what was needed. My mom has lupus, and she got diagnosed once we moved back down there, so then she had all her doctors down there, and so it was just easier to kind of keep down there and have family to help us out and everything.
What part of the Valley?
Yeah, what part of the Valley?
So I'm from Weslaco.
Oh.
Yeah, but my family's from far in San Juan.
Okay.
SJA.
Okay.
But they say bears, raiders. They say they're the mascots
Yes.
of where they go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like the whole thing. So like we've been down to the Valley a couple of times, and it's just weird because like they're like, it's like, I'm like, y'all are all in the same place, but everybody's like, no, I'm from I'm from Adana, and I'm from
far.
yeah.
And you get the different personalities too.
Yes.
Like I'll say like, oh, I'm from Weslaco. They're like, oh, that's why you're proper. And I'm like, oh. I'm like, no.
I heard the water's bad in Raymondville.
I've heard that too.
He's like, I haven't had it.
I haven't had it because I've heard that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's crazy. But so that I met Cody during when what was the whole thing your movement was doing?
Me and one of my great friends, she's now an attorney in San Marcos, over in Hays County, and we were working on the Melissa Lucio campaign stuff. So she was going to be the first Latina that was set to be executed. She was also from the Valley. Part of what brought me to law school and my friend to law school is we have loved ones that have been incarcerated. Her brother's incarcerated. My mother's incarcerated and was wrongfully convicted. And so we were just kind of like, oh, like there's a lot of overlapping stories between Melissa and my mom, that like the forensics person was the same person, and she kind of didn't do like a great job of like, finding out the facts. She was given stuff from the state side and was like, hey, this person died like this. Can you look into it? And she was just kind of like, yeah, like I can prove that, and didn't actually do her own autopsy or analysis of anything. And so Melissa Lucio has been in prison for 14 plus years now for something that she didn't do. And I know we had talked about that. One of your primas was like, well, like that's still bad parenting. I was like, okay, even if it was bad parenting, like it's not like she didn't kill the baby.
Yeah.
It was just like negligent parenting. She had too many kids and couldn't keep her eyes on all of them. And so we were just working with it. It's kind of just, I was telling somebody that the other day, it was weird. Like we went to downtown to one of the parks, and it was just a part of their media rally, and they were just kind of wanting to get footage of people holding signs in the different towns across Texas. And so that's what we thought we were going to do. We were like, oh, we're going to go hold a sign for 2 minutes and then like dip.
Yeah.
And then
like me last night.
Literally.
Like, yeah.
But I should know better than to like, I've just always been like that growing up where I'm like, oh, I'll go
Metes
volunteer
la
for like
pata.
yeah, exactly. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to get wrangled into this whole thing. And so then he's like, oh, actually, we need you all to be the coordinators for all of San Antonio. We need you all to contact news people.
Oh gosh.
Do whatever you can, do outreach things, go to rallies, hold viewing things for the documentary. And I was like, I'm in school. Like, I don't know where I have time to do any of this. And of course I made time because I was like, school's fine. Like,
yeah,
it'll get
like
done.
I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Passing's passing.
Yeah. So then it just kind of like grew from there. Like I was like, okay, like are these efforts really going to be like as much as we want them to be? And then like they just kept taking off. Like Kim Kardashian then started talking about it. And then CNN and every other like national news place started talking about it. And I was like, oh, this is like legit. Like people are listening.
Yeah.
And then 2 days before her execution, like the Court of Criminal Appeals in Austin was like, no, we're going to stay it. They need to look into it further. So she's still incarcerated, but she's not executed, which is a huge win.
Yes, that's a big win. So tell us more. Growing up in Weslaco, what was it like? Like what do you? Because I mean, now that you're in San Antonio, and I'm sure you've talked to different people, what do you think? Like,
well, this is a hot take. nobody ever wants to talk about how much better tacos are in the valley.
Oh, here we go.
And it's never talked about, and I need to go on the record now that is the place. Like San Antonio is like a very close second, but it has to be like certain places.
I was gonna tell you because I kind of agree with you because I think it depends. If you're going for a flour, like a homemade, I guess like the masa and everything like that, San Antonio. But if like the valley, we go down, we're like, oh, we're gonna get some tacos because it's just a different.
It's a different vibe, and then like there's the place that I go to, like I frequent it. Like I went 2 weeks ago and I had worn like the same shirt like 2 days in a row, and I was like, yes, I know I'm here, Susan. Please don't look at me. And,
oh gosh.
It's El Milagrito over off St. Mary's.
Oh, okay. Here in San Antonio.
Yeah, and it's been there for like 60 years, and I said, this is why I know it's good. But
hey, we're all like, let's write that down.
So what taco? What's your order? Let me know what.
I eat like breakfast tacos. Like that's what I want. Like I'm just like chorizo and egg or like barbacoa on a Sunday with the big red.
Oh
that's
yes,
from the valley.
Yes.
Yeah. But no, growing up in Westaco was great. So I'm half white, half Mexican, and so but growing up down there, they were like, oh, Cody's one of us. Like he speaks Spanish. I was in 18 quinceañeras growing up.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I was like a big dude. I weighed almost 500 pounds.
And I couldn't get in one. I was never picked.
I was the one tall person down there, and I love to dance. All my family is big on dancing, so they're like, oh, he's just fun. Like put him in, he'll just pair with somebody.
Yeah.
And so that's what happened. But it was a great time, and I think there was like 5 other like white kids in my graduating class, but I was not one of them, and I was like, what a win. I was like, I'm one of everybody else.
Yes, exactly.
So, Cody, you said what brought you to law school was because your mom was incarcerated. What do you want to speak a little bit on that? Is that cool? Okay, so then what happened? Like what?
And I know she's still.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's still incarcerated. It was kind of a wild thing. My mom's always been a very big like nurturing person. She's always been somebody to give back, and she owned her like private practice. She was a speech pathologist all my life, and then when Medicaid for kids kind of broke down into like all these different like healthcare agencies, they weren't paying a lot of these like privately owned places properly, or like it was taking a long time, so they were all going under. Hers finally went under, so then she kind of just transitioned over to working at a hospice home down there in the valley in order to stay down there with me because I was going into my senior year and all these things. And like my fall semester of my junior year of high school, she was coming up to San Antonio, working over here at a hospital, and like would come down on the weekends. Yeah. And she did that, and she was like, that's too much. Like I need to be there to see your like final year and a half. So then she moved down there and was working at a hospice home. And this old man whose wife was a patient at the hospice home was super nice. He was 97. The wife was 90 something. They were just old. He was also then diagnosed with cancer and was just very old and had all these other health problems. Yeah, and he has one son who lives in New Braunfels and didn't have like the means to like take him to New Braunfels and couldn't go down there. And so my mom's like, well, we'll take care of him. And I'm like, Chinga, Mom, that's not our job. Yeah. But who am I to tell her that? Yeah. And so so we took care of him and all these things. But
like he lived with y'all and stuff?
He would live with us on weekends and stuff, or like we had a caregiver that was like that would go and stay with him on weekends, and we'd bring him on weekdays. So my mom and I could do whatever we needed to do because I was getting ready to graduate. Yeah. Had to go tour like colleges and everything. And then he ended up passing away my senior year. I forget when exactly. But like before then, I guess him and his son had some issues growing up, and the son was going to get all the stuff in the will. Yeah. And he was like, I don't think that's right. Like we've had our battles and everything, and I just don't think he should get everything. So he gave majority of it to the son, but then he like left some for my mom, and he rewrote the will and like for the hospice home and for his church. And so it just kind of became an issue over like him not getting everything. Okay. And so then it was going in favor of my mom's stuff, and then somehow a story was concocted that she had the handyman who were from the valley. So like a lot of people that are handyman down there tend to be undocumented, and this guy was. And so that she hired the handyman to kill the guy to get money faster. Oh my God. The handyman doesn't speak English, is undocumented, and was like interrogated for 7 hours and like in English. So he had no idea what was even going on. And they kind of just like forced him to say that, yeah, like she told me to do this. And so that was my first week of my freshman year of college. She was arrested.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So wild stuff. So I went through college while she was incarcerated. She was under house arrest for 2 years, my freshman and sophomore year. And then my junior year, she's always like, you live like a double life. And social media kind of like shows that too. Where like, on social media, like I put out these like really cool things. So I was like voted like one of 12 student favorites at Texas State in San Marcos. And then like that night she was like convicted. So I was like, oh, here's like a cool win that I have. But then there was like this big
all
loss.
going on in the background.
Yeah.
And you,
I'm an only
yeah.
child, so that's like my person.
Yeah.
Wow.
And Cody, and so when you decided to go through the law field, like was that already your path, or did you think you were going to do something else?
So I started undergrad pre-med.
Okay.
I wanted to be a pediatric oncologist, a kid's cancer doctor. Okay. I saw Patch Adams.
Yeah.
Robin Williams and with the red nose on. I was like, that's gonna be me.
The spaghetti noodles.
I was like,
I never seen the movie.
Oh my God,
you gotta watch it.
Oh,
you're gonna cry.
Yeah.
If you like to cry, watch the movie.
Yeah.
If you don't like to cry, still watch.
I'm a big crier, so I definitely will cry.
Too. It's cute. It's very cute.
Yeah, but then that happened, and I was like, oh, there's no way I can do med school like with all this. So then I changed my major to broadcast journalism, and I was like, oh, I'll work in news and like I'll showcase stories of like people, kind of like what you all are doing.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll do like 2020 and talk about these communities that are underrepresented or don't have all this facts straight on something. And then I worked in news for a little bit, and nobody just really watches the news anymore. People get their news and everything from podcasts, from social media and things like that.
TikToks.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so I was like, okay. I was like, well, like, what can I do that is still going to do what I wanted? And so I was like, I guess I got to go to law school. And my family was all like, thank God, because my uncle's a judge back home and my cousin were the only 2 grandkids and he's a prosecutor. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to do that side. I was like, I'll just do defense.
Okay.
And so my uncle's like, no, like you got to start on the state side. Like that's what he did. And then he went to defense and now he's a judge. And I was like, nope, I'm just going to be a defense attorney. I was like, I'll learn. It's fine.
So you just went straight. It sounds like you like whatever you're gonna want to do, you're gonna do it. Cody.
I
Like,
get that from my mom.
Yes, that sounds. So when that happened, when she got arrested, so then she got convicted, obviously. And how much time did they end up giving her?
So she was convicted of a capital murder crime, which in Texas you either get life without parole, they call it LWOP, or you get the death penalty. And so Melissa Lucio, in her case, capital murder, she got the death penalty, and then my mom got life without parole. But there's an appeal going on right now.
Yes, that's what I was going to my next question.
Oh
so there's an appeal going on, and she's here in Texas.
That even work?
I know that's crazy, and
First
just by
of
someone's
all-
word, like they don't even like. It's just that is insane.
And it's been wild. So like her trial went on for like 6 weeks, and it was all the state side that they put it on. They didn't. My mom's defense team rested. They didn't put on her case because the jury was getting tired because trials typically never last that long. And then they were like, we've cross-examined these witnesses and feel like we've gotten their testimony thrown out because it was inconsistent, or and they didn't want to bring in our own witnesses to like allow the state to do the same thing. The state had already painted a bad picture of my mom to the jury, and so they're like, like this is probably the best bet. So now we're on an appeal. The Court of Criminal Appeals remanded it, which means that they sent it back to the trial court back in August. And so they've kind of just been like going back and forth with like what they need, things of supplement and things like that. But it was on like grounds of actual innocence and ineffective assistance of counsel.
Yeah.
So now they just recently like submitted the entire supplemental report and they just made it public. So like it's out there for people to see that like, hey, she's an innocent person.
Yeah.
So did she hire an attorney, or was this court appointed?
She hired one. We were fortunate enough to come from a family that could afford to do that.
But they just really didn't do their job, or you're just saying the state side just really
They just like it sounds like they were just bombarded.
It was kind of like all of the above. Like
all of the above.
Yeah.
And then is that guy still around? The one that they just kind of forced to say?
He's been in prison the whole time too, because I think part of their thing was like, if you tell us that this happened, we won't deport you. Like we'll kind of like leave your deportation proceedings until this is all figured out. But yeah, so he's still here. He's just not deported, which I guess to him he's like, well, at least my family can come and see me here versus trying to go back there.
Wow. But that's the way it works. Not that I'm trying to tell my business, but I was incarcerated one time in San Marcos, and I had a court appointed because I couldn't afford. But then my family's like, we pay your bond or we hire a lawyer. I'm like, hire a lawyer because I'm innocent. And then the lawyer came and he visited me. He's like, well, we're just trying to get a hold of your brother because we have it on video. It's him. Everything points to him or whatever, but we just need him. And I'm like, that don't make no damn sense. So after like being there, like, I think it was like 9 months, it was like, just sign and you're going to get time served. And I just signed. And
you're like, just let me call.
Because, and I was adamant for 9 months, like, I'm not signing because I'm innocent. I don't want to mess up my background. And then boom, it was like,
That's wild.
They just make you say, I was there. I was whatever. Like you just got to.
They back you up in a corner
because they got to plug you for something. So you can't say I'm innocent. I didn't do nothing. But here, time served. Like you have to agree to something. I'm like, that's horrible.
Well, I think we've all been in that corner. Yeah. No. I have.
I mean, did I say that was me? I thought it was my sister.
It was just a backstory. No, but so Cody, now you are an attorney, right?
So I graduate in 20 days.
Okay.
And then I take
Early
Thank you.
congratulations.
I know.
And then I take the bar in July. And then I have a job lined up to do criminal defense here in town. So I get to stay in San Antonio, which I've loved. It's become my city. I haven't changed my number yet. I keep the 956.
I know that. Remember when you called? I was like, wait a minute, should I answer it? Because
Oh my God.
I was like, I think I need to keep it. It gives me street cred.
Yes.
Like I was like, okay, well, I have like a white last name and everything. I was like, but if you see the 956 number, you're like, okay, well, maybe he knows what's up.
Yeah, he knows how to work this.
Yeah.
And so you're criminal defense, and it's so. Are you helping with your mom's case as well?
No, so they have her firm that's representing her appeals actually out of San Antonio. They're like internationally renowned Goldstein and Orr, and they worked on like the Michael Morton case, which was like a huge thing back in like the late 90s, early 2000s. Hannah Overton, which was I think mid 2000s. They've just had a bunch of like high profile cases.
So she's been incarcerated how long now? Like,
well, so if we talk about like from house arrest and everything, it's been about 8 years. Because then we do it based on birthdays. So I was like, okay, I turned 19 and she wasn't at that one. I'm gonna turn 27.
Wow,
yeah,
that is horrible. But the system is so messed up. But like,
it's a money back system. So like, I mean, it's been terrible what we've had to go through. But I was like, we're also like a way more fortunate, set of family versus those that don't have the money to pay attorneys to help kind of speed this up. So there's people in there that have been in there for 15 plus years. Melissa Lucio is one of them.
Yeah.
And she's been in there for over a decade because they didn't have the means to hire an attorney.
Do anything. It was just like sit there and wait.
Yeah.
And then part of it too is so challenging because isn't it once they prove that you're innocent, don't they have to back?
Texas is one of those states where you have to back pay, but they don't like to do it.
So that's why they're going to try to fight and keep you in there because they're going to owe her how many years?
Well, and my mom's the first person. I'm telling you, my mom's cool as hell. Like she's just like a fun person, but she's just like stupid smart. Like it makes no sense. And I'm like, my dad's smart too, but I'm like, I really wish I got those brains.
Oh my gosh.
Because she's the first person incarcerated in Texas to get a doctorate while she's been in there. And then she just got a second one while she's been in there.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was like, and she's like, I finished with a 4.0. I was like, bro, I'm just finishing law school, like not 4.0.
Do y'all talk a lot?
Yeah, we're supposed to do Wednesdays and Sundays, and she just ignores that. She's like, she called me today, she called me yesterday.
Did you tell her you're gonna be on the podcast?
Yes. And she's like, well, remember to behave. And I'm like, okay.
Oh gosh,
she knows
we
her
want to see it.
I was like, this is the problem when you like went into prison when your son is still like a child, and now they're like an adult, and you're like, oh, I still have to be a parent and do these things. I'm like, no, I got this.
Oh gosh.
Is that state or fed? That's state.
State.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a whole different.
How hard? Like I know, like you seem like your spirit just seems, and you smile when you talk about her. But like, how hard was that going through?
It's been tough. I think I've been able to like bottle emotions for the last 8 years. Like I was like, I'm not a big crier. The dean of the law school, just like Patty Roberts, shout out to Patty Roberts if she ever watches this or listens to this, because she's great. I met her my first year of law school, and I mean, for her to take the time to get to know all of her students was wild because, you're at a next level of education where it's a little bit more prestigious and you're just kind of like, oh, people do their own things. But she would open up her office and like do coffee with us. And so I was like, oh, I'll go sit in there and talk with her. And she was like, oh, what brought you to law school? And I just told her. And she was just like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And so we've become, just good pals over the last 3 years. And so then last week it was like Tuesday or Wednesday. My phone hadn't been working, and so I took it to Apple, and so all these like emails were coming in, and I was trying to go through them, and I get to hers, and she like on her own, like without asking, without wanting to know if I like was okay with it, which I was very okay with it, but like she just did it, and she contacted like Texas Department of Criminal Justice, like Department of Corrections, and was like, how like I'm gonna write an op-ed and like do all these things. She's like, but like we live stream the graduation every year. He graduates in 20 days.
Are you gonna make me cry, Cody? I already know where you're going with this.
Yeah, like his mom's not gonna be out on time to make it to it. Like, can we live stream it? And like they were like, yeah, no, like we can get her to live stream. So my mom didn't get to witness my college graduation.
Wow.
She hasn't been a part of a graduation since 2015. So she's gonna get to see me walk across the stage and become a JD, and then it'll be the first like moment that she's been a part of in 8 years. So we were all super excited.
Yeah, that is awesome. That is
and
so
for
awesome.
her to do on her own, like
yeah,
that's more than close friends. Like that's That's almost.
That's
and I'm
family.
not giving. I was gonna say I don't want to give them the name, but it's like a second mom, like having somebody look after you,
Yeah.
like that.
Because that is a very big important thing. I know, like
Man.
I guess because I'm really involved with my kids, so like things like that, like I could just. I can imagine. I almost got a it would have criminal trespass warning. No, they were like, if
Don't
you
get
come
it until after October.
No,
can't help
I
you.
know. So then they were like, they gave me the criminal trespass warning, but they were like, if you come on the field during the game, I was like, if it's the last game and y'all haven't figured out what y'all are gonna do, y'all might as well just arrest me now because I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna miss it. And they let me on for 15 minutes, but it still let me on.
Got what you wanted.
15 better than nothing.
Nothing.
Yes,
Exactly.
exactly. So I'll take it.
Man.
But Cody, so now, like you seem to accomplish so much stuff. Like now, tell us your secret on the weight loss because you said you were like 500 pounds. You are nowhere near that.
I had gastric sleeve after my first year of college.
Okay.
So I grew up super fast. I was 5 feet tall in like the middle of second grade.
Oh my gosh.
So I mean, like, I was a large kid, and especially in the valley, they're like, oh god. My mom and I were talking about that today. She just likes to laugh about like random stories, and I'm like, okay, let's laugh at like my moments that were traumatic to me. I'm like, it's fine if it makes you happy, we can do it. But she was like, remember in second grade when like every like 6 weeks they do the honor roll, and so my class got selected to do like the Christmas show, and so they sing like some silly songs, and they're like everybody's gonna be a reindeer, and then I was like, okay, but they're like, but Cody's gonna be Santa.
Oh gosh.
And I was like, what? They're like, well, like you'd be a big reindeer. You need to be like Santa. And so like now I think back to it, I'm like, oh, they were all my reindeer and I was Santa, like the ego.
Yeah,
the main
like
character energy. I'm like,
helped.
okay, like it's fed into that now.
Yeah.
But so I grew up and I never had a fast metabolism, didn't ever have any. And then I played sports and then I just kept growing, so I was constantly eating. And so when I went to Texas State, I like got a trainer there and they're like, here's your diet, here's this, like just follow it and you're gonna lose weight. I ended up gaining 60 pounds my first year because I just could not lose weight. So I had gastric sleeve that summer, and I was the meanest person for a month because I was on a liquid diet.
Oh man!
I said nobody talk to me. If you look at me funny, it's on site.
It's on site.
And so we went to I remember my poor grandma. She's 4'8", and she's like you'll be fine. Like one of her sisters had passed away like within that like time frame, and I was like, Grandma, I should not go to this thing. She's like, like that's okay, mijito, but like
you really have to come.
But God's why, and I was like, oh God, we're bringing God in.
Okay, it's over.
And I said, okay, I said, like if one thing upsets me, like you know how I am, and she's like, you're gonna be fine. And so I remember like one of my cousins was crying, and I was like, person, why are you crying? You didn't go visit her. Like, why are you crying?
Oh,
like,
you were just being vicious to everyone.
Yeah.
You were like,
yeah. And it was like I had it like July 6th, and so then the 4th of July came, and my family's eating like Frito pies and hot dogs, and I was like,
you could have nothing.
I couldn't have anything. So then my cousin, who's the attorney back home, he's like, I'm gonna take Cody to go get a raspa, and they're like, he can't have sugar. He's like, they have sugar-free ones. Like, it's fine. I said, get me out of this damn house right now.
Oh my gosh, Cody.
It was wild. But then after that, I lost it all.
It just dropped.
But yeah, so I've maintained about like 200 pounds off.
Wow, that's awesome.
Congratulations. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's hard still because I bet. I mean,
maintaining is half the battle. More than the real battle. Like,
but then you get the body dysmorphia because then you're like, oh, I have like lonja still, and then like the excess skin. One of my roommates, my first year of law school, her daughter's like 6, and she came and she like jiggled my leg, and she's like, why do you jiggle? And I was like, I don't know. I would love to know why I jiggle. I don't know.
You're all like, get your kid.
Yeah, I was like, take her out with Camila. Yeah. After that, I was like signing up for a gym membership right away. I was like doing squats every day.
You're like, come see me when you're 25.
Yeah, so tell me how it feels. So what do you like doing here in San Antonio? Like, what have you eating? Just what?
Big eating.
Yeah, it's everywhere, right? Like it's like, everywhere. And if you want to meet someone, like even if you like before it was like, oh, let's go have a coffee, but now they got like all the like the coffee shop has the donuts, has the cakes,
my God.
and it's like yeah, pa qué? Yeah.
And I low-key get annoyed when people are like, let's go get coffee, and I'm like, no, I want to eat.
Let's get a taco.
Let's go get tacos. Let's go get something. But yeah, I think San Antonio. I also like I think we all just take for granted after COVID. Like we couldn't go outside, so I love being outside. Like in the heat. I used to be like, oh, it's too hot. Now I love to sit in the sun, especially because I'm so pasty. I don't see the sun ever, so I'm like translucent on my like side. Yeah, that basically those things. I like to explore the different things. Like everything's just like being remodeled or like. Especially like downtown or like where the Parole is, like they're like changing all those homes and like just making them restaurants, which I'm like, that's kind of cool. Like we're not tearing down the house. We're not doing like the Austin thing where they're like, we're going to gentrify this place and then like tear it down and put a high rise. They're keeping like the outside and they're just making it something new.
Cool.
So, yeah.
So what do you think about this whole prop date thing? I think we're asking everyone. How do you feel about it?
I'm for it.
You're for it.
Mm-hmm.
And why are you for it? Like,
I think part of it is that I'm young and like pretty liberal. And I'm just like, marijuana is here, whether people like it or not. So like, why not just allow it into form to where it's legal and you can do whatever you need. If Republicans want to tax it, I'm like, okay, tax it, but like make it legal. Allowing undocumented people to have better access here to whatever resources that we have, their people.
Is that in that as well?
It's like it's not like in like the main parts of it, but it ties into it.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of what other parts there were to it. There were a few other components.
I think my biggest problem is because I don't understand it. Like, I don't grasp it all. Like, because I see the decriminalization of marijuana and I'm like, well, wait a minute, that's a federal law. Like, how are we going to change it here in this, like in the state like level? And then they're like, oh, you won't get arrested. But I'm like, so sometimes you won't get arrested. I mean, I don't know.
Well, and like with marijuana, like now they have like Delta 8 and 9 and that's legal. And so then like, but they sell like the flower of it on its own. So like for people that like to smoke it. And so if you had that on you, it's like, well, how do you know whether or not that's actually like THC or if it's Delta 9 or something? And so it makes it tougher, but it's also like, if they're not using it while they're driving, and maybe some people are, maybe we shouldn't do that. It's like drinking and driving. Don't be doing that. But like, just like let people do their thing.
Yeah, just let them be in the street.
Yeah, let people be people.
Happy.
Yeah.
I think people are happier when they're high. I used to live in Nevada for a while. Everyone just
I wouldn't trust it from down there.
Oh gosh,
I don't know about it.
No, and maybe not the valley, but I lived in Nevada.
Oh, Nevada.
Yeah, I actually lived on a reservation.
Oh, that's probably some real stuff.
Yeah. So it was a whole different thing.
I only
up there.
trust it from a dispensary, like.
Yeah, because you never know what's out there anymore.
They say they lace it, that fentanyl stuff going on,
and like in the prisons they get K2, which I guess is their form of like synthetic marijuana. Yeah. But like that's like deadly.
Okay, it's like herbal. Like I feel like somebody's just cheating you and just putting spices and herbs together.
Well, yeah. So when I went, because I went to the actual, I don't even know what I went for because I don't know what's going on, but I just went to listen. I went to the debate, and that was one of the things the officer said. He was all like, we can't make it legal because they can't regulate it. They can't figure it out because there's like the marijuana is being laced with fentanyl. And I was like, but he said the only thing I didn't like, he was like the marijuana coming from Mexico. I was like, who even gets marijuana from Mexico anymore?
Who knows where anybody's growing it? If you're in a legal state, you're probably growing it in your backyard.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, it could have come from anywhere. So I don't know why they feel like it's still coming from Mexico.
Yeah, but like politics have just gotten so crazy like lately with just like it's been like super like party heavy. Like Republicans are on one side and Democrats are on one side, and I'm like, I feel like I haven't heard about like the economy in a long time of just like how money's being spent versus like we're gonna talk about all these social issues like where drag queens are violent towards kids and like gay people still suck, and I'm like, why do I suck? Like why am I a bad person?
What did I do?
Yeah.
And it's crazy. I hear you on that because we hear a lot of stuff like, because my kids are in high school, so they go through a lot of things like as far as like, oh, well, what are they going to do here? What are they going to do there? And then I also, like, since I started dabbling a little bit in the politics stuff, like we even heard about, I think it was like where they want to give the kids a choice where the parents, because they want to give it back to the parents, where they can either go to public school or private school. And I was like, oh, okay. And then like somebody said that they were like, what if I don't want my kid to go to a school where they have like a transgender bathroom? And I was like, where the hell did that even come from? Like, why would you not want your kid to know that that's...
Yeah. And like it's weird, and like I was like, we're talking about all these things, but then like there's like the bigger issue, which is guns. Not to anybody.
Oh no, yeah.
People can have guns, but I'm like, like there's been hundreds of mass shootings already. Across the nation, and I'm like, and we work with a few different high schools with St. Mary's. We go to the high schools and we teach them about their rights. And because I was like, like school isn't for everybody. Like I get that, but like you need to know like basic rights. Like if you get pulled over, like and a cop tries to mess with you, like this is how you can defend yourself. Like when you have to go to court and be like, I wasn't given my Miranda rights properly, so like he can't say any of the stuff against me. But I'm like, we go in there and we teach them these things, and I'm like, is this gonna be the day where somebody walks into the school and like has a gun and I'm trapped in here? Like it's like the way that is a thought that goes in my head.
Yeah. Imagine the kids. Yeah,
exactly.
They go through that daily.
This week alone, Fiesta shooting.
Yeah, I was there an hour before that, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
Yeah.
And so, but it was like, I think it was like where the banda was.
Yes.
And so I was like, see, I was like, white people, we didn't go to where the banda was.
Yeah. You're like, oh, I
yeah.
would've never
So
been
it
in
was
that
where the
location.
banda was, and the guy who got shot wasn't even the target. Like he was just like trying to pull somebody from there, and he got shot. So it's like you never know where you can be, what you can do, or what.
Yeah.
Just where you live.
Chris lives in Dallas.
Yeah. It's wild over there.
Yeah. There's like some street shooting down the street or whatever. It was like over 100 shots.
You're like Dallas. You're like, that sounds like Oak Cliff.
Right next door to Oak Cliff.
Okay.
You see? I don't know where that's at. I stay in my little south side home. No.
Yeah, he knows Oak Cliff. I'm like, okay, you partying down.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
One of my roommates in college, my freshman year, he was from Oak Cliff, and he's like, you're from the Valley, I'm from Oak Cliff, so we have street cred in this apartment. I was
my
I was
gosh!
Like, why? And he's like, bro, the Valley's wild. I was like, is it? And then like Westlake for like 2 years after that had been like rated like most dangerous city in America, and I was like, was it? I was like, I didn't know that. I felt
really?
fine.
You felt safe.
Oh,
I was
wow.
like, it was. I mean, like girls in high school are like wild. Like those are the fights you want to see. Like you're like the guys aren't gonna do anything, but like when you heard two girls are gonna fight, you're like, oh.
Yeah, it's gonna
they
get
were
down.
vicious.
You're already.
Yeah.
Well, do you think that's like a really big thing now, like with the social media, like the recording? Like, I think sometimes I feel like it enhances the fights. Like the kids are like recorded, and like something that they might have talked out, they're like, they got that camera on them, and they're like, oh, we gotta go, because then because if you
when you're not there, I'm not saying put your hand in it and assist to break it up, but you're busy doing this and worrying about putting it like
no, but like you're recording, so like those two people, like they're arguing, and they might have just like walked it off and just been like, whatever, but they got that camera and everybody's looking. It's like, oh, we got to do something, because then we're gonna look crazy like afterwards. I think everybody thinks about that now.
I'm just like, like I've always talked about like how there's like certain classes I wish I had in high school that like I wish that I still don't know about as an adult. I'm like, I don't know how to like file my taxes properly. I don't know how to like budget all these things correctly. And then I was like, now they got to talk about like things you can, should not post online. Like your whole life does not belong on there. And it's okay.
They tell everything.
Yeah,
and I feel like an old person saying that, but I was like, but it doesn't. Like, I don't care what you had for breakfast. I also don't care if you're mad at like so and so. Like, just like
don't put the business. Do you reading my post?
I'm like, do you ever want to hold a husband? Because you're putting it broken up or your status, and then it's back together. Like, it's like, why are you putting the chisme out there when you know you're gonna take him back, even though he cheated on
like
you?
You want me to have your name in my mouth.
You want me to talk about it. And then they get mad when you talk about it. And you're like, well, you shouldn't have posted it, because now we know.
You wanted me to say something.
Now you're the chismosa knows everything.
Exactly. And that's the thing. I'm the chismoso at the law school. Like, I know everybody. But it's because I'm a large, friendly person. Like, I'm friends with everybody from like the first years to like my graduating class. And everybody's like, if something's going on, they're like, you know what's going on. I was like, no, actually, I don't know what's going on.
But I'm going to find out now.
Find out.
Yes, now I know. Now I'm alerted to where I got to go.
I was like, and then I'm not going to tell anybody, because I want to keep the chisme for myself and see if it grows.
To see how bad it gets from the beginning. So what do you got going on interesting at school, Cody? Like right now, since it's just 20 days left, like do you got some tests coming up? You got
some final exams. I work at the law library. I sit there and study, and then the exams, and then my last exam is on the 10th, and I start bar prep for the bar exam for July on the 12th.
Oh gosh. So it's just gonna be cramming like back to back to back.
But it's not too crazy. I've been super involved while I've been in school. I was a student attorney with our criminal justice clinic.
Oh, wow.
I was like on our national team. I was a writer on the law review and like all these things. And I was like, you mean to tell me that I have nothing to do for 10 weeks, but just like study for this exam? Cool.
I got it. No, it's in the bag.
Yeah.
Wow. Are you excited? Are you nervous?
I'm excited. I was like, I mean, it's nerve wracking, but I'm like, oh, there's like a lot of like, this one test is gonna like give me what I need to like help a lot of people, and that's I think what's keeping me like going. So, sorry.
Go ahead.
You go.
No, go ahead.
Because I already forgot, wasn't I?
Oh my god! So with you focusing and always being busy, do you have anybody special in your life?
No, and can we talk about how I lost 200 pounds and I still don't have a person?
Oh
in my life?
my gosh!
Fine. It's fine. No, but I was talking to him. I think a part of it was like when I came out when my mom was in house arrest, and so like coming out to my mom, I'm her only child, and like I grew up very Mexican with all of my family,
and
so it was like the Catholic thing, and so then I was like, oh, like she's gonna kill me. I was like, this is where it happens.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, how do I get out of this? She locked me in a room because I was like on edge. I was like, oh, like it's gonna come.
So
out
you just like, oh, I got something to tell you.
No, she just knows you all got mom intuition.
Know.
Oh yeah.
And so she like locked a door and she's like, you're gonna tell me what's going on right now, like, cause you're acting weird. And I was like, oh god. And I was like, you know, I was like, in my head, I was like, I don't know, how am I going to get out of this? Like, how am I going to get out of this in one piece? And so then she just like started asking questions. She's like, did you do something? Like, is it somebody? Is it about you? And like all these things. And I was like, and then like she asked, like, she's like, is it your sexuality? And I was like, and I just like started crying. And I was like, yes. And then she was like, okay. And like we've talked about it since then, because I mean she wasn't raised around any of that. I mean, she knew people in high school, but like it's different when it's your friends versus like when it's somebody in your family. And I think that's like a constant thing. And so I was like, okay, well, I told her, and so then she was like, oh, we have to tell everybody. I said, no, we don't have to tell everybody right away. Like, let's one at a time. And she called my dad and my stepdad and like my family, and she told them, or made me tell them. And I was like, okay. And everybody was kind of like, you know, they were not fine with it. They were just kind of like, okay, it's not the worst thing that could happen, but it's not like ideal. And so then as we've gotten older, and now it's almost been a decade, now they're all fine with it, and they're like, you know, we just want you to be happy with somebody. And I was like, yeah, me too.
Where's he at?
Where's he at though?
And then COVID hit, and then law school happened, and I was like, I don't have time to meet somebody. And then the people that I do want to meet, like, they don't live in San Antonio. And then there's nothing wrong with San Antonio, man. I'm like, please show me, like, where are
they at?
But like, there's always like, I meet somebody and they're like, oh, I'm in town doing like this, and then I live in Houston, or like, oh, I'm here but I live in Arizona, and I'm like, I can make it work.
We could travel.
We could travel. I'm like, that gives me a reason to go. Take a flight.
Oh my gosh. Wow. So have you ever tried any online dating or anything?
Yeah.
And how was
online
any
stories?
Online
not fun.
Oh God. Tell me a story.
Why is it not fun?
I think it's just like, it's dating apps. It's like Tinder's just like not good. Because it's like people just like want to stay like I don't know if it's a social media thing or it's just an online thing again. It's like you're on the app and you're like, okay, we're gonna just keep chatting. I'm like, okay, are we gonna meet in person? Like, what's going on here?
And they never call.
They never call, and they're like, oh, like I'm busy, and I'm like, okay, well, if you're busy, don't be on this app, because I'm busy. I'm gonna make time though.
Yeah.
And so now I'm like, okay, well, now I'm graduating, but then with my mom's thing, like she's been incarcerated this whole time, and when I would go on dates, they'd be like, I guess like that's like a normal thing to talk about. They're like, oh, so like, what does your family do? And I'm like, oh, it's funny you should ask. I'm like, my dad's a pharmaceutical rep. I was like, and my mom's a student. And they're like, oh, where's your mom studying? I was like, in prison.
And
yeah. And at first it was kind of like, it was like, I was a little ashamed to talk about it, because I was like, you know, like, it sounds like I have baggage. And then I just realized like my mom's a badass. And I was like, my mom's in prison. And what? I was like,
what you got?
Yeah.
And
you gonna break my heart?
Yeah, what's like? I'm like, let me weed out the weak ones real quick. I'm like, is that a problem for you? No. Okay, then you can like stay in this circle. I'm like, oh, it's a problem for you. Okay, well, you can pay for my drink, and I'm gonna head out.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Wow.
That's crazy. But that's so good that you've been able. Your family's been real supportive. Everyone's been right there for you. I mean, and I feel like your mom. Like, I want to meet her. Like, I wish we could talk to her.
Yeah. My grandma's she's like 83, and she's been like the biggest support about it, and she's just like a little señorita. Like she watches like her shows, and she watches like Judge Judy and like CNN, and she loves Anderson Cooper. And so one day she came in, she's like, Anderson Cooper? I said, yes, Grandma. She's like, he likes men. I said, yes, Grandma, he does. And she's like, he's gonna have a baby. I said, yeah, I know, I saw that. And she's like, that's gonna be you one day, mijito. I was like, that is gonna be me, Grandma.
Yeah.
That's cute.
So she's in your corner.
She
So.
is.
Well, Chris is gay. I don't know if you knew that.
No, he couldn't tell.
Yeah. I'm like, Chris and I kind of look alike. We're wearing clothes right now.
I know. I was just looking at his shoes.
I know. I was like, what size do you have?
So do you think people feel threatened? Because I guess threaten's the word, but also like you might be too much. As in, like, your life's busy. They see you as a lawyer. They see you as this. So they're just like, oh, he doesn't.
Well, it's weird because then, like, you have the lawyer part where they're like, oh, he's a lawyer. Or, like, all these things. I'm like, we're not doing no sugar baby, sugar daddy nonsense. I said, dual income household.
Yeah. 50-50. What you got? What you got to the table?
Exactly. But I think they're just kind of like, oh, that's a lot. Like, you have a lot in your life and everything. And I'm like, I do. But, like, when do you not have a lot in your life? Like, if you don't have a lot in your life, that's sad.
Yeah.
Like, you're a sad person. If you don't have problems in life, that's a problem.
Yeah.
So what about like in school? Do you feel that like because of that, like you like some other like another guy attorney who feels like a little like if you're coming back, because like you said you were part of that debate, it was like a debate team or something, or like where you said y'all go like the lawyer thing, like do they feel like a little bit like, oh no, I'm
like, hold on, what you think?
What did you say you did, like the like you're president of the. Se me olvidó.
You talking about like he's the head of the law team thing?
Yes,
where he volunteers, or what is it?
What'd you say? You told me. Let's rewind it. No.
I'm like, let me
Where,
talk about myself.
where
again.
you get
What
all
have
the
I done?
chisme and everybody asks you.
No,
Oh.
not that. No, you said like you were the head of your like you were like y'all would go debate like the law team, and you would go like help people. You said something.
Student attorney?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, student
is the
attorney.
clinic.
Yeah.
Okay.
So do you feel like other men like they get a little bit? Do you still
no.
have that? No. So you see, and that's what I think. A lot of people have that stigma because they still think it's like that out there. It's not.
I mean, like a lot of like people, they either just do their thing, or like you have like the old school guys that are like a little bit chocante. Like
That's what I mean. Like
Yeah,
you
like-
feel like they're like, mira que, I'm.
yeah, like,
eh.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's some of that, but I mean, not with us. Now we're like lucky to make it out of here because we came in during COVID and it was wild.
Oh,
And so like our last year was like the normal year that we finally got to experience of law school.
So you'll be the first year of the COVID. Oh wow, that's even a bigger
from, like,
accomplishment
start to finish. We
because it
entered
was
in
real hard.
2020.
Online. Remember, I even told you that's when my son
Yeah.
was in college and he was like, "Screw this, I ain't doing it."
Yeah.
He was, "I'll check out, plumber, here I come."
Yeah. No, I think it made school harder because like it's like anything else, like Prop A, where like a normal person that's like reading these things like doesn't just like understand it because it's all in legal terms.
Yes.
And so when I was reading my mom's things or going through it, I'm like, what the hell is any of this? And so my family, I think out of protection of me to not make me want to get upset or anything, they'd be like, okay, well, like this is just kind of what it means. I'm like, if you're not gonna tell me just like what it is, like I'm gonna go find out for myself and be in $100,000 of debt.
Yeah.
And so I did that.
And now look at me now.
Yeah, and don't look at my rank though. It's not cute.
Oh gosh.
It's okay though because I got other things going on. But like you start learning how the law works and how to understand it and read it, and I'm like, this is crazy. Like law was made by white men, and it hasn't really changed since, and it's just a wild thing. And people are like, you're a white man. I'm half.
Halfway.
Yeah, and it's my second half.
What do you feel? Okay, so if you're a defense attorney, so how would you take it? Like, let's say. To me, we're talking about it, and I'm like, well, some of these people don't need a slap on the wrist from the beginning because when you let them go, then it ends up you're gonna see them 5 years from now, and it's just.
I was listening to a podcast on my way over here, and they were talking about some 16-year-old kid like 30 years ago had like brutally stabbed this other 16-year-old kid like at summer camp, like stay away, and like how he should have gotten life, but he was given life with parole, and he got paroled out 30 years later. But then people were like, no, like he did that without like any like fight back, like nothing like instigated it. He just like stabbed.
He
this
just
kid.
killed this guy. That I think she were talking about the Dallas one where she killed her husband, or it was like her fifth husband.
Yes, it was trending, and it said
Yeah.
in 2018 she was convicted of murder, and they said she didn't do it, whatever. Right?
She was charged.
She was charged, but she wasn't convicted. She
Yeah.
got away with it basically, but they said it wasn't her, and that was husband number
Four.
5 or 4.
No, 4, and then she killed the fifth one.
And now we
What
are
happened to
5
the other
years.
4?
They all died the same. Like
She's gotten away with.
Did you ever see the Addams Family?
Yeah.
Where Fester marries like that woman who's like
yes,
had, like,
trying to
7
kill.
husbands?
Yes. So it was
That's
kind of
that.
like that. Yeah. So she was injecting them with insulin.
And he had diabetes, so he just died. And I'm like, had y'all kept her and convicted her in
first time.
2018 from husband number 4, she would have never got to number 5. And we don't know about 1, 2, and 3.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's the stuff I'm talking about because you just don't know what you got.
But you never know. Like
Yeah.
you never know talking about that because I was a paralegal for 10 years but I was a translator as well. So I would go in there and one of our clients, he had robbed the Pep Boys, right? And but that wasn't what he was in jail, what they got him for. So he had robbed a bank. And the only reason they caught him was because he had robbed the Pep Boys. But when he robbed the bank, he went to the strip club and he was like throwing money. And then his mom had...
Was it Sugars? Because I would have arrested
probably
him too.
I don't know which strip club, but look, so he went into to take his dog to the vet. Then he has his mom go with the money from the bank to go pay. So then like they trace the money back because it had like the marks or whatever. So then they come to the mom and the mom's like, well, shoot, my son gave me the money. I don't know. So he said his wife worked at the strip club and that some guy came and threw money in there. But then he goes and robs the Pep Boys. So then they were like, that's when they caught him. And they were like already like had him in this little thing. And they were like, look, we're not even worried about the bank. Like, we're just going to charge you with the Pep Boys. But we already know you did the bank. And I was like translating for him. And then he was like, okay, so like, we're just going to sign on. I don't even know what they gave him, right? They gave him something crazy. And then he was like, okay. And he was already going to sign. And he's like, but what about the other bank that I robbed? And my attorney, like, I had to translate it to him. And the attorney just looked at me like,
You're like,
yeah. Yeah. So then I told the attorney, and then the attorney like looked at me and he just like shook his head and he's like, don't even like, or just walk away from this. I was just like, that is crazy. But it was even crazier because the mom turned him in, used the reward money to hire us.
Nice. But also shout out to him for having a wife that works at a strip club and for him being like confident enough in like knowing that they got a good enough relationship where he's like, I trust her.
Yeah, she's the one who got the money.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was crazy. It was insane.
I've only been to a strip club once. I don't think I'd ever go back.
Oh, I know,
Was
it's
it a male
horrible.
or
Right?
female strip club?
No, it was a female one. It was recent. It was
Where?
like a few months ago. I went to
Diamonds.
Sugars.
Oh gosh, that's why it was
Yeah,
horrid.
I went with some former bosses of mine. They're like, they had to pick up something. They get clients through this.
I was gonna say, business.
They always send business.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went and like we walked in and I was like, there's a lot happening here. And there was like one girl on the, I'm gonna call it a stage because I don't know what the proper
term is. Yes.
But like she was there and she just like picked up her legs and like was like doing this number and I was like, I could have paid for law school doing this.
Oh my gosh.
And then one girl had like a natural brunette and she had like a blonde wig on, but it was like this far back on her hair. And like she spoke Spanish. She's like, ¿Quieres un bailar? And I was like, no. Especially not like this. Like you're not even.
You're like, girl, can we fix you up? Let me fix you up.
I was like, I will pay you to let me help you put the wig back on.
Oh my god.
But it's honest work.
Yeah.
And
it's hard work.
And it's hard work.
Yeah.
That's upper body strength.
Yeah, and not only that, but some of the men are like, they don't want to
They're
pay.
handsy.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
or that. And
They want a little more than they're paid for.
It's not gross because of them. It's gross because men are gross.
Not trying to hook you up.
I do have a lot of friends.
Like physically or like just like in general?
Everything. Like,
Okay.
what do you see with your partner?
So I know I'm super tall. I'm 6'6" out there for all the listeners that might swing my way. But
Can you drop your handles?
Yeah, I don't need them to be like 6 something. Like I'm asking for like average height, like 5'8". Like that's not asking for much.
That's doable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then that's like as far as like physical stuff. I'm not into white boys because I'm half white and that's enough. So
It's enough white.
they can be white, but like blonde hair and blue eyed is not my thing.
Okay.
I need a little flavor
Okay.
or a lot of flavor.
So you want something spicy?
Yeah, like you need like if I'm gonna be spicy, I need somebody to match that.
Yes.
Okay.
I used to be like, oh, they need to be educated and all these things, and now I'm kind of like, it's not for everybody. But I'm just like, but there's a difference between being educated and being ambitious. So then people are like, oh, so you'd never date a bartender? And I was like, I'd date a bartender if he wanted to learn the business and open up a bar.
His own bar.
Yeah.
I was like, but like,
Someone who's just okay
But
with it.
somebody
now.
that
Yeah.
just
I don't want people just
loves
to ever be just okay with life. I'm like, no, you gotta keep doing stuff.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna just like be a lawyer and then that's it. I was like, I'd probably go back to school again because I'm
Really?
wild. Oh yeah.
Do you
What's
want?
your sign? Sorry.
I'm gonna let you guess.
Are you Aquarius?
No.
Or December? What's December?
Oh, that's close, but no.
My best friend's what is it? Sagittarius?
That's my rising.
So what's your sign?
Oh, you
Scorpio.
Oh, you see, I'm a Scorpio too.
When's your birthday?
November 7th.
On the 18th.
Look, you
See?
see.
Oh.
We got that. I actually wanted to be an attorney. That's why I did the paralegal, but then law got me, so I couldn't do anything.
That ain't true. You can go back. They will help you through that system.
Really?
That's what's her name said.
That's what somebody else told me.
I have a friend of mine who's in school with me and had a record before going in, and she had it worked on. You let the board of law examiners know, like, hey, I had this. Like, it's as long as you tell them like you had things and like they're not things that can like keep you from practicing law, and you work on them, like they work.
How
with
about
you.
a federal drug charge? Asking for a friend.
I'm gonna get back to you on that one.
It was just marijuana, but it was just like 167 pounds.
Oh my god, just for you?
No, my friend.
Oh, okay, for your friend.
You're such a
Just for your friend.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot. I was at the. Have you been to St. Mary, like on the west side of St. Mary's?
Yes.
There's that one corner store off Woodlawn and 36th. And I went in there like once, like 2 weeks ago for a water, and like this guy walked in. He had like the shorts below the butt and drove a nice BMW, tats on his face. But then he bought like $64 worth of Swisher Sweets, and I was like,
my
"Oh
gosh.
my god, that's a lot."
Should have just got on Amazon.
Yeah. He's like, I'm gonna take one of every color, and I was like, one of every color. And there was like a ton. He's like, and then double it. And I was like, that's 64.
Maybe he just got out and he missed out on all the flavors.
Yeah,
because he said he was all tatted.
He's like, when I got in, there was just grape. Now they got tropical.
All these different. Yes.
Oh my god,
that is crazy.
That's crazy. Okay, so I might. Okay, so what's your Instagram or TikTok?
Handles.
Because I do have some friends.
Yeah.
That I like you. I really, really like you.
I'm not picky, but I got the guard up. Because people always want to be like, I want to set you up. And I'm like, this is who you want to set me up?
Well, that's the thing. My friend is the same way. It's just like, no. Like, he's the same. He doesn't have enough time. And he
travels a lot. I already know who you're talking about.
Best friend. He's my
Yeah.
best friend.
Approve?
Yes.
Okay.
And he has good shoe game, too. So what she was looking at you. Yep.
Works for Nike.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Send it to me. I don't care what it looks like.
He got a discount.
Yeah. We're traveling. We were just talking about. Yeah, we're just talking about going to Memphis, right? Somewhere, yeah.
For the corporate office and stuff, the employee store.
Yeah. Instagram is Cody with an extra Y, JESS.